All right. Hi, good evening. My name is Neha Mishra. Some of you know me already, and to a lot of you who do not know me, my name is Neha Mishra once again. I represent Epinomi Consulting. I'm one of the partners in the company, and on an individual basis, I'm a leadership trainer, I'm a behavioral coach, and I help people overcome their failures if you have any. Once again, welcome to our Learn from Home webinar series organized by Epinomi Consulting. And today is our second last in the row. The last one is coming up next Saturday. So that's how we would be ending the Learn from Home series. This session that we have, Managing Change in Digital Transformation, is extremely important for us all. And we thought that who could be better than our trainer for today to take up on this session, because our trainer, who is Ashish Bhuvania, he has more than a decade of experience into training. Behavioral trainings are his forte, and he has already been doing this for a lot of large corporate institutions and manufacturing industries, actually in fact across industries. So we thought that it would be great to have him here today and lead this topic, which is managing change in digital transformation. Now, before I speak to him, it is important for me to tell you that this topic could mean different things for each one of you. You may have come here with different expectations, and we may or may not be able to meet all the expectations. So, to make sure that each one of you take away something or the other, it would be nice for you to keep interacting in the chat box, or keep putting up your questions that are relevant to you, to your industry, to your work, or to your personal life in the chat box, so that the trainer can understand where you're coming from and can answer them. So support us in that sense. And on that note, I would like to welcome Ashish Bhuvania. Ashish, welcome. It's very kind of you to do this session for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Neha, for that lovely introduction. Just a quick check before we start. Friends, is everyone able to hear me?
Hey, I think I can hear you. Maybe you guys can give a thumbs up. Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you.
So
Thank you so much. Yeah.
on that note, Ashish, I'm going to go mute and I'm going to put my video off. I will let you lead the session from here on.
All right. Thank you so much, Neha. Thank you
My
once again.
pleasure.
So, good evening, friends. Welcome to this 1 hour Learn from Home series session on managing change in the times of digital transformation. Uh, Neha was speaking about expectations that you might have from this particular lesson. So, if I can just spend the next couple of minutes to quickly understand if you have any expectations in mind, which we will try to manage in the course of the session. And in case we are not able to, then definitely we'll try to catch up, or I'll try to share the answer through Neha to all of you. So you're free to unmute your mic and quickly in the next 2 minutes share with me what is it that you are expecting from this particular workshop. Okay, so I think Siddhant is talking about what types of digital transformations will be discussed, right? So Siddhant, to quickly answer your question, we are not focusing on digital transformations that can happen in the near future, but we will be focusing on how will you manage the change in the environment which will be brought by that digital transformation. All right, so I think I'll continue. So, my friends, once again, welcome to this workshop on managing change in the times of digital transformations. So, I wanted to start this particular session with by sharing a situation with all of you, and also to understand from you what are your thoughts, or what would be your way of managing this particular situation. All right, it's a very simple generic situation, and I would like all of you, if not all of you, at least some of you, to share your thoughts around how to manage that particular situation. All right. So imagine that there is a particular hilltop that you want to reach. All right. So there is this hill. I'm not talking about a Himalayan hill, but some of you, or maybe all of you, are from Pune, so you have quite a lot of ghat section around, and it's beautiful place. So there is a destination which is at the top of the hill that you wish to reach, and there are two reach the top. One is either you drive your car or your bike on the road that has been paved on the around the mountain, and the second way to reach the same hilltop would be to take the steps. All right. So they have created steps for you to climb, and that is the other way of going to your top of the mountain. Now you have decided that you will take your car, and you're all ready to ride it, drive it. You've woken up early, you've got ready, uh, you have left Pune to reach the hilltop, and close to the footsteps of the hill, you are stopped by the authorities, and they inform you that due to the last night heavy rains, there has been a landslide, and hence the road is inaccessible. So in a situation like this, you can't drive your car now to the top of the mountain, but for some reason it is important for you to reach there. What are you going to do? So let me pinpoint this question to one of the participants who is attending here. So Sarthak, if you are with us, how will you reach the top of the mountain? All right, how about Vanchika? Anyone? Hema, Vashita? There is a landslide. You can't use the road. You can't access the road. How will you reach the top?
Wait for everything to settle down.
Okay, so you can wait for everything to settle down. Thank you, Siddhant. Anyone else?
Maybe choose another day.
Maybe choose another day. Fair enough.
Or walk up, if that option is available.
All right. So you can choose the option of walking up as well. Right. Absolutely. Ultimately, if we choose to walk up, we will reach on that particular day. If we choose not to walk up and say, wait for the landslide to be taken care of, or try another day, whatever the option is, ultimately, you're not changing that goal of reaching the top of the mountain. So the reason I'm sharing this example is change management is ultimately a change in a situation, a change in a digital transformation. It can be any change for that matter, but your goal, your objective does not change with the environment or the change in environment. All right. So ultimately, we need to understand, my friends, when we are talking about managing change in digital transformation, what does that change comes with digital transformation? It could be a process, it could be a change in the way you achieve your objectives, but we need to understand at the end of the day, we are still focusing on the objective that we wish to achieve. Now, that objective can be different for different people. For you as an individual, it could be a personal goal that you wish to achieve. For your organization, it could be an organization goal that they are planning to achieve by the end of the year. It could be as a team, it could be as an individual. Whatever the case may be, first and foremost, the goal never changes. What you wish to achieve never changes. What changes is the way you achieve it. And that is what a change management in a large scale during digital transformation is all about. It is how do you continue to work towards your goal? How do you continue to achieve your goals with this change of digital transformation? So that clarity we should have in our minds before we approach any change, for that matter, be it digital transformation or be that any other change. First and foremost, it should not change your goal. It should not change what you are achieving. Please avoid changing that goal. Please avoid changing your objectives just because there is a change in the environment. So that's the first thing we need to sensitize ourselves when it comes to managing change in digital during digital transformation. So keeping that in mind, my friends, first and foremost, some of the challenges or hurdles we come across when it comes to managing change is, number one, we would rather settle for a known devil than an unknown angel. Simply because I'm too comfortable with this known devil. I know my way around this known devil. I know how to manage it. I would rather stick to that, be in the comfort zone, than to approach an unknown angel, which I don't know how to manage or which I don't know how to work. But we need to understand that change management or managing change is like a transformation. It's like a metamorphosis. Just like how a butterfly has to go through a lot of struggle at a pupa stage in order to become that beautiful, capable butterfly, we also, when it comes to managing change, have to go through that pupic stage wherein we will have some discomfort, we will have our own set of challenges, but you need to understand that the more you work around those challenges, the more you try to get out of that comfort zone, is where something beautiful can happen for you. Because ultimately, what is a change? What is a change for all of us? Change, I'm sure you have heard this uh, countless number of times, is the only permanent. This is the only thing that is permanent in our world. It keeps happening. It keeps happening at a certain time frame in certain places. It could happen in 6 months. It could happen a year, or it could happen in a longer span of time. But it's the only permanent thing in our world. Some of you must be part of information technology sector. You would, I'm sure, would agree with me that in your industry, change happens in a span of few months. A lot of drastic change has happened in the last few months. Look at our situation right now. For example, we are right now going through a change in the change in terms of the way we work, change in terms of the way we interact and communicate with people, change in terms of how we socially behave with people as well. So this is a drastic change that we have come across. It was sudden to all of us, although some of them had prepared themselves much in advance. But ultimately, this is also something that might change in a few months down the line. If things go back to normal, some of the organizations, some of the individuals will again change their behaviors based on what the current situation at that time might be. So ultimately, change is the only permanent, but you also need to be clear of the fact that change is like a maze with a gift waiting for you at the end of it. The challenge, however, is a lot of people during that maze of change tend to give up, tend to stop working towards it, tend to analyze and understand it, not analyze and understand it. And because of that, what happens is at the end of it all, they continue to go around that maze, but never reach the end of it or the destination of it. But my friends, when you reach the end or the destination of the maze, you have a gift waiting for you. And that gift for you could be anything that you hold dear. It could be success, it could be monetary benefits, it could be a better responsibility, a new job, it could be any of that gift waiting for you at the end of the maze. However, you have to cross the maze. You have to manage and make sure that you are going around the maze, completing it, so that you are able to reap the benefits also at the end of it all. However, the most common and the usual response with this maze has been that we tend to give up, we tend to stop working around it, we tend to not analyze and understand the maze, and we continue to go around the maze for a very, very long time, expecting others to save us and get us out of that maze. So to summarize so far what we have discussed, when we are talking about change with digital transformation, we need to understand two things. One, it's again a summary of what we have discussed so far. Digital transformation will bring a change in how you work. It will bring a change in how you operate. It will bring a change in how do you manage things on a daily basis in a regular way. It will, and please do not bring a change in what you wish to achieve. As an individual, as a leader, as an organization, you are not looking at how do you change your goal, how do you change your vision. You're just looking at a change in terms of how do I achieve that goal and how do I achieve that particular vision. All right. So that's ultimately what managing change in times of digital transformation is all about. To be clear and aware of the fact that I'm going to change how I work. It's not going to change what I'm out there to achieve. Are we clear so far, my friends? Any questions?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
All right. So in that case, I will go ahead. So far we have discussed in a very at the very
Ashish,
yes.
Ashish, 1 second. So Hema had a question saying, what is digital transformation? Because she doesn't come from this background, and
Okay.
hence she asked that. Yeah.
All right. So in a very simple, if I can define or explain what is digital transformation in the most simplest of the language, then it is about uh, bringing in technology into the process that you already have existing in your organization. All right. So what I mean by that is a digital transformation basically is that you have certain set of people working in a particular process or getting a certain job done, introducing technology into that particular team or a job or a process, which can make life easier, which can increase the efficiency as well as the effectiveness of the work done, which can also reduce the time spent on a given job, is what digital transformation is all about. A classic example I can share, which all of us would understand, is the UPI payment system. For many years, we were transacting using cash or card. So what did the UPI did? It is still helping us do transaction with money. However, it has made our life easier by ensuring that all I need is my phone, and my phone is my phone with the particular application, and I'm able to still make the transaction without the need for me to remember my account details, without the need for me to uh, carry cash anymore, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, digital transformation is to bring an ease, an efficiency, and the effectiveness of the work needs to improve by introduction of a certain kind of a technology or a certain kind of a digital process or policy in that place. Does that answer your question, Hema?
Yes, Ashish. Thank you so much.
All right. So keeping that in mind, let me just continue now. So far what we have discussed is ultimately, number one, managing change in times of digital transformation is more about bringing a change in how you approach your work and how you get your work done using the new technology. It is not changing what you are out there to achieve. It is not changing your organization's objective. It is all about how do I reach the destination, a change in my way of reaching destination. It's not about changing the destination entirely altogether. But friends, still there is a need for us to define what is change management in itself. All right. With or without digital transformation, what do we mean by change management? So anyone and everyone, again, my request is for you to unmute yourself and share with me what is your understanding of change management.
Sir, how you cope up with the new trends and changes? Like how successfully are you in coping up with those, and how you adapt to those changes?
Right. Thank you so much, Shreyans. Anyone else?
Change management might be like how will you be able to use the changes in your own business in order to further your uh, progress in society or as a whole.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much for your responses, my friends. We are so far in the right direction. So to add to what Siddhant and Shreyansh have shared with us, change management ultimately is a structured and strategic approach to the change. It is initiating and managing the process of change. It is my behavior and attitudes towards the change transition and the implementation of that new change. And last but and a couple of more points here. It is also about modification or transformation that I need to bring with the newly introduced digital transformation change. And last but not the least, also to identify what will work for you and how do you use it to your advantage, and at the same time what might become a challenge or a hurdle and how do you manage or overcome it. So my friends, ultimately change management in the times of digital transformation very much depends on how you react to it. All right. And when I use the word react, please understand I am not talking about a reactive approach. When I say reactive approach, it is just like you have a knee jerk response to the entire scenario in itself. To give you an example, in our current situation, I mean, with the lockdown, we have had a lot of transformation happening with digital and technology, and at the same time a lot of transformation that the organizations are going through, keeping in mind the economical condition. uh, Take this session for example. So far, for so many years, I've had the experience of running workshops in a classroom, in a conference room, wherein I have the participants right in front of me, and we are interacting. We can see each other. We can communicate not just with words but also with body language and voice. And that was my comfort zone. But now, with the lockdown situation, with restrictions around, that is not possible for the time being. So what we had to do, we had to really bring a digital transformation to our own business, which is having virtual interactive sessions, or create e-learning platforms, or rather use e-learning platforms to share your content and have trainings run by themselves without the need of a particular facilitator or a trainer. Now, in a situation like this, it would have been easy for me to just say, okay, you know what, looks like I will not have business or work for the next 6 months until unless everything comes back to normal. But then that's a loss of revenue for me, and as an individual as well as for my organization, that's a huge loss of revenue. 6 months of doing nothing is difficult. What would it lead to? It would lead to layoffs. It would lead to people being asked to leave the organization, so on and so forth. But what did we do instead? Instead of a knee jerk reaction to the entire environment, which is let's hope we survive and so on and so forth, we did a we what we did was a proactive approach to this particular change management process. We understood what will work for us. We understood there is that digital platform Zoom, for example, which is available, that can be explored as much as possible in the given scenario. And we manage the entire process of transitioning from a classroom training to a Zoom or a virtual interactive sessions. And then that's what basically change management is all about. It's not about giving a knee-jerk reaction, or being reactive to the entire environment in itself, but it is about, number one, to sit down and identify, okay, this has happened. There was no control I had in this entire environment or scenario. But now that if this scenario is going to exist for me, how do I make sure it does not hamper my achievements? How do I make sure it does not hamper what I am out there to achieve? What is it that the goal that I have desired for, and how do I continue to go about it? And in order to be able to do that, my friends, even before you come up with a strategy, you have to first and foremost identify what you need to do. Even before you take an action, you need to analyze and understand what are your options. So change management starts by you. And when I say you, it's all about sitting there, analyzing, understanding what is it that I wish to achieve with this change in environment. How do I continue to achieve it? So there is a model of change management which is called as the ADKAR model, which I would be happy to share at a later point in time. So to continue our discussion, we have defined what is change. We have also defined what is a digital transformation change management and how it changes the way I work and does not change what I'm out there to achieve. We have also defined what is change management. The next thing we need to be aware of is the process of change management, or the process of change and managing it in itself. Okay, friends, change management or the process is again about reaching from a destination A to reaching a destination C. All right. However, we need to understand that sometimes a change, why does a change happen? All right. Why does a change is brought about? Some of the changes are external environments, unwarranted. Nobody wanted it, but it has been brought down upon us, like a COVID situation. But when we talk about organizations, my friends, certain change in the form of digital transformation is brought about for a reason. All right. It is necessary at that moment. It was identified as a good solution or a good approach, and hence a lot of organizations tend to bring about a digital transformation change which is planned, strategized, and has been thought through before being implemented. Why is that digital transformation brought? It's because people are looking at moving from A to C. Now, what is A in this situation? When I use the word A, what I'm trying to tell you here is A is our current situation, or rather our present state. This is where we are right now. This is our situation. This is the comfortable zone that we are existing in right now, and this is where we are. And some changes happen, some problems happen, and that comfort zone is affected, hampered, disturbed, if I can use that word. So what happens is you don't like to be in that position A anymore. You don't want to be in that present state anymore. What you want to do is move to C, which is your desired state. Desired state will be your new status quo. Desired state, or C, will be a place where you will be much more comfortable than what you are at A. And you need to achieve or reach that destination, which is your desired state. Now, how do you do that? Friends, it's simple. If I want to move from a point A to point C, I have to map my path towards that particular destination. And that is what we call as a transition state. A transition state is where change management happens. A transition state is where you are managing the change, you are managing the digital transformation, you are managing your way of getting things done, and your way of using that digital transformation to achieve your goals and objectives. So ultimately, you're moving from pain to remedy. You're moving to a C from A by using a transition state called as B. So a transition state ultimately is where you are managing your change. And ultimately, the way you manage the transition, the way you manage the changes that happen in that transition, ensure that your desired state is exactly the way you wanted it to be. Are we clear so far, friends? Any questions? Okay, so over here, I would really like to bring a certain amount of interaction, and for that, I would like to share a particular example or a case study that I came across with one of my customers. All right. So this customer that I'm talking about is a microfinance organization, and you know how microfinance works, right? They give out loans in a very small amount, and the loan given is of a very small amount, and the interest rate is also manageable, so that people who can't afford loans from a conservative bank can actually manage their living through taking that small amount of money. Now, 2 years ago, this particular microfinance organization brought a digital transformation in their system. So what used to happen was, if they have these loan officers who would go around approaching people if they need small loans. So let's say if I want a small amount from this microfinance company, the person who I am talking with, I would give him all the details. He would write it on a form, hard copy form, and carry it with him. End of the day, he would actually submit all those details, and it would take another 1 day or maybe two for the loan to get sanctioned and me get that money. So the digital transformation that this excuse me, customer brought in was that all the loan officers who are on the field will carry an iPad which will have a preloaded application, and all you have to do is you go there, you talk to the customer, you get all the details, you feed it in that particular app application in the iPad. You just click those buttons and the money will reach that consumer in a matter of few minutes. And that was a really big change for them for certain reasons. Number one, the turnaround time would drastically increase. It was a matter of few days initially, and now it has become a matter of few minutes. It would also increase the amount of loan that they are able to sanction on a given particular day, and so on and so forth. So a great deal of positive achievements for the organization. But after rolling out this particular new process, after handing over iPads to the loan officers, after explaining and training them what exactly the application is, how to use it, and so on and so forth, they still observed that at a lot of regions, these loan officers were still delaying the loan transaction. They were still delaying a lot of customers and giving them the money. What do you think might be the reason behind it? Although some regions they could see that they are able to increase the turnaround time, reduce the turnaround time, and increase the number of loans that they are uh, clearing on a given day, but at certain regions they realize it's still the same, the speed is same, and the process is still the same. So why do you think that happened? According to you, what is the reason behind it?
Repeat the question, please.
So like I said, certain regions were using the iPad, certain regions were using the application, and they were able to reduce turnaround time, increase the number of loans being sanctioned on a regular basis. But certain regions, they still realize that the speed is same. They realize that even after giving them the iPad with the application, the loan officers are still taking a longer time to clear the loans or sanction the loans. Why do you think is that happened? Why do you think that certain regions are still slower?
Uh,
Yes.
Shriram, go ahead.
so maybe because of I'm not sure, but maybe because of the lack of knowledge, or they don't have the proper knowledge on how to work on it.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. I also agree on the same point. So even though they are given a new technology and advanced, features, if they're not using it correctly with the aim of reducing these times and all, it won't happen.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for your responses. We are going in the right direction. So, my friends, they did an investigation around it, and this is what they found out. Some of the loan officers were not comfortable with the technology at all. They have seen a laptop, suddenly you give them a tablet, they were just not comfortable carrying it. Some of the officers actually responded saying that, sir, ये बहुत ही महंगी चीज है, हमको डर लगता है इसको बाहर ले जाने में. All right. Some of the team members also responded by saying, you know what, I thought I'll get all the details in a hard copy, take it home and ask my son to actually feed it on the iPad. And some of them just did not open the application. They did not open the iPad at all because they felt that their way of working was the best. So training was given to all the loan officers on how to use the iPad and how to use the application. That training was definitely done before handing over the technology to them. Yet in certain places they did not find their employees using it, is because their mindset towards the change, my friends. Their mindset was, I'm not comfortable with the change. Their mindset was, I don't think the change is necessary. Their mindset was, why do we need this change? I mean, things are still going on. They were working the way they were. They were achieving their goals. They were achieving their targets. So what was the need for an iPad? What was the need for an application for us to move faster? So the challenge, what happened and what this particular customer of mine realized was, we knew what is our desired state. We knew the transition that is necessary to reach there. However, neither did I communicate it properly to my team members. Why are we bringing this change? Nor we were very clear about the fact that, is this really going to change? Is this process or the change in using technology is really going to reap us benefits or not? They did not communicate the need for change effectively to their team members. Am I making sense here, my friends?
Yes.
Yeah. So ultimately, when you see a change in the way you are working, or a digital transformation that is introduced to you, first and foremost you need to understand is having clarity on three things before you go about creating a strategy or an approach. First thing first is, what is your ultimate goal? The more clear you are about it, the more comfortable you are in understanding the changes you need to bring with this digital transformation. The organization or the customer example that I shared, their ultimate goal was to pass out and clear as many loans as possible, reach out to as many people who need money as faster as possible. And that clarity was not passed on to the employees. They just felt that we are doing a job, we are continuing to do that job. It's just that the way we do that job is going to change. They did not understand that it is for the benefit of the end customer. It is for the benefit or the fact that the end customer should get his money faster is the reason why they brought the change. So be very clear when a digital transformation happens for you as an individual or as an organization, what is your ultimate goal, and make sure that that goal is clear to you and everyone working with you. Next thing you need to do is, I've understood the goal, I am aware of the goal, I have clarified the goal. Now I have to make sure there are certain structures, rules, policies that I need to create that ensures that the goal is we continue to achieve the goal. It makes sure that we continue to achieve the goal. It also makes sure that you use that digital transformation to your benefit rather than creating it as a problem for you. All right. Last but not the least, how do I continue, or how do I plan to continue to fit in my role, fit in my organization, fit in the given environment that I'm part of. A digital transformation, my friends, a lot of time when we talk about digital transformation, a lot of participants come back to me and say, I think the introduction of technology is for every job that is available to all of us. Yes, automation increases efficiency and effectiveness. Automation also makes life and work easier, but automation does not necessarily replaces you as an individual. Someone still needs to someone still needs to operate and manage that automation procedure. For example, I still need to have a guy who is going to push that button. Yes or no, my friends? So you need to understand your way of fitting in is not in jeopardy. It is your way of contributing to your organization, or your way of contributing as an individual, that might change a little. You might have to take up further new responsibilities. You might have to start leading a team of a small team of new members, etc., etc. But it will not really take you out of the picture altogether, because that's one of the most basic fear a lot of people have, that digital transformation means loss of jobs. No, it does not mean loss of jobs. It only means that, you know what, the job that you are doing right now, I am making it easier. Why don't you add more value to the organization or the system by taking other windows of opportunity and do or taking other responsibilities as well, to add more and more value to the system in itself. So how do you plan to fit in is the last thing you need to identify and understand. Not in the point of view that am I losing my job or am I keeping my job, but in the point of view that, okay, this is going to make my life easier. How do I take up responsibilities and add more value? All right. Ultimately, I've had the clarity of perception now. I know what is change management, and whenever a digital transformation happens in my life, I will be aware of the transformation as well. How do I manage all of this together? How do I ensure that I succeed in this transition state? How do I ensure I reach my destination? So, friends, in order to do that, there is a very famous universal model of change management that you can use in a situation of digital transformation that you can come across. And this particular model is called as the Adker model. It's been there for quite many years. It has been universally used in many scenarios and in many organizations. And this is a very standard model as well. ADKAR. A stands for awareness, D is desire, K is knowledge, A is ability, and R is reinforcement. So what it simply means is, when you come across a particular change, when you come across a new digital transformation that is going to bring about the change in how you work, first and foremost, become aware of that change. Understand that change as much as possible. Get enough information and explanation and understanding so that you are fully equipped with all the information necessary. That's your first step. The second step is, you have to mentally create a desire in order for you to change along with this environmental change. If you continue to resist it, then my friends, please understand that is not going to go away. We might go out of the picture because of our unwillingness to change along with the transformation. Third step is to create or get as much knowledge as possible, which is not just about the change, which you have already done in the awareness part, but the knowledge part in the third step is all about getting enough information for you to be able to continue to work with this new digital transformation. You might have to learn a few things, you might have to unlearn a few things. So the knowledge step, or the third step, is about what things do I need to learn, what things do I need to unlearn, what are certain people I can reach out to in order to learn and unlearn at the same time, so that I am fully equipped to manage the change. That leads to step 4 automatically, which is increasing my ability to achieve my goals with this change, with this digital transformation. I'm making sure with knowledge I'm increasing my ability. Last but not the least, I've got the awareness, I have the desire to change, I have got enough knowledge and information and lessons in order to make sure that I'm equipped with I have equipped myself in order to achieve my goals during the change. I have increased my ability as well. Now it is all about putting all those ideas into action, reinforcing it through behavior, and making sure I succeed in this change environment brought about by digital transformation. All right. So I'll give you simple examples for it. Okay, examples that we have come across, examples that we have uh, seen in our daily or regular lives as well. Okay, uh, how many of us? Okay, I just thought of the example over here. Have you come across electric cars? Of course you have. So one of the electric car companies was going through this particular problem, and the problem was that since it's an electric car, it doesn't have a lot of uh, parts. You know, it doesn't necessarily has a engine or chassis, as we call it, and so on. It just had a battery pack. The battery pack was managed by a software which was installed in the car, and everything and anything that was that is running in the car, and the car running itself was managed by that particular software. Now the electric car is launched with a lot of celebration and gung ho around it, but what happened was 7 to 10 days after the launch of electric cars on the road in the United States, what they realized was people were bringing their cars to the service center more frequently than they would take a regular car to a service center. Every now and then what would happen is some kind of a glitch in the software would stop a certain part or a certain aspect of a car to stop functioning. Sometimes the radio is not working, sometimes the AC control is going for a toss, or sometimes the car doesn't start because of a software glitch, so on and so forth. Now naturally this was a transformation for a lot of customers who came around with a electric car. Now there was a transformation in this situation necessary for the organization as well, which is we have created an electric car, it runs beautifully, but we have observed that the customers keep coming to the service center very frequently simply because there is a software glitch that happens once in a while and we need to keep updating it, uh, and then the car runs fine. So what this organization realized was that how about we are able to remotely update and download softwares to a car which is owned by a customer. So what they meant by that was that software is all about codes. So naturally there will be sometimes bugs that needs to be rectified. If the bugs are not rectified, the hardware gives the problem. So while the customer is not using the car, keep giving or downloading updates into the car regularly so that whatever challenges or problems the customer was facing with the car is managed even before they start the car. So a team was developed and this new system was created as wherein uh, people are working on codes, but there was a new team that was created whose job was to uh, download and update the software of a car sitting remotely at the office and ensuring that all those problems that the customer complained about is updated while the car is sitting in the parking lot, and not necessarily the customer has to bring the car to a service center to get the bugs taken care of. So what they did was, again, the ADKAR model. I'm giving this example to help you understand what the ADKAR model and how it works. First thing first was they got this awareness that electric cars is new to the customers, and since it runs on softwares, they became aware of the fact that customers are frequently bringing their cars to the service center to get the software updated uh, and for the bugs to remove. The next step was the desire. Now the organization desire was not a problem at all. Customer is the center of every organization's universe. So desire to make a customer's life better was there. So that was not a problem at all. The third step was to get enough information in terms of what were the challenges the customers are facing, what are the bugs issue that the software has right now, and they made sure that they had information in terms of the list of bugs that the customer has in the car, what are the kind of problems that those bugs are creating, what are the most frequently visited issues that the customers are coming for. They got that knowledge. They created the ability by setting a team of people who can remotely access the car software and update it accordingly, and reinforcement is nothing but passing on that benefit to the customer. So last but not the least, they were able to help the customers by saying, you know what, you just report the problem to us. You need not bring the car to the service center to get the updates and bugs removed. We will do it remotely. All you got to do is report the problem to us. And that one particular transition ensured that Tesla became one of the fastest selling cars in the United States. Now the valuation of Tesla company is as good as a Ford or a Volkswagen, which is hundreds of years old and billions of dollars in revenue. Tesla was able to reach that point so fast in their lifetime simply because of these small changes they brought about using digital transformation. So my friends, ultimately I'm going to close right here. uh, Please understand, a digital transformation is not our enemy, it is our friend. We have to befriend it in order to make our own life easier, to make our work better, to become more efficient and effective. Digital transformation is not your villain, my friends. It's how you treat it that makes a lot of difference. Some of you are looking for jobs. If I'm not wrong, some of you are actually looking at. Some of you are students, or maybe some of you are who are working right now are looking for a change. Uh, right now, the only way to bring that change for yourself, which is in terms of moving to another organization or getting your first job, is about how you use this digital transformation in today's environment to the maximum effect. Uh, the current environment in terms of COVID-19 is not allowing us to actually approach people and give interviews. The COVID-19 situation actually has brought an economic issue for all the organization. They are reducing the number of hiring. They are freezing hiring. They are laying off people. I understand all of that. But uh, keeping that in mind, yes, it's going to become a little more challenging. Yes, it's going to be a little more difficult, but the the way you use digital transformation will make a lot of difference to you at the end of the day. We used digital transformation today, and I'm so happy to have this 1 hour with all of you, because I've been longing to run a training program for such a long time. And it not only made my life easier, but at the same time, it is actually giving me many other advantages in terms of uh, able to spend more time in explaining and sharing content as much as possible, and so on and so forth, without minus all the distraction that I would have in a session, in a conference room or a classroom. So my friends, last thing that I'm going to share over here is digital transformation, yes, brings a change in the way you work, but if you continue to work and focus on your goal, then digital transformation can become an ally and not an enemy that will make your life difficult. So keeping that in mind, I'm done with what I had to share. So again, this is an open forum now. Feel free to share questions. Feel free to share what you would like to understand more, and I would be very happy to share my thoughts around it. So any questions, feel free to ask, my friends.
So, Ashish, I will let everyone articulate, whoever has a question, and I would like to steal this time to ask you two questions that I got before, when we announced this session, because some of our friends couldn't join, but they did send their questions, and because we'll be also recording this session, so they can absolutely get an answer.
Right.
So the first question is from the student side, pretty much the final year students, MBA or PG, anything you call it. They say that what are the important change that we should bring in to succeed in our career, uh, relevant to today's time, current times?
Okay, and it irrespective of what are they specializing in right now, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So I think they are asking about behavioral changes or attitude mindset changes is what I think the question talks about.
Okay, all right. Um, if we are looking at career, my friends, especially students who are right now part of this particular session. As a student, you need to understand that if you are looking at starting your career, you're basically looking for a job, or if you're looking at starting a small enterprise of your own, you need to first understand that things are going to get a little slower. Okay. What I mean by that is processes uh, are being managed from home, processes are being managed differently. So, naturally, because of that, people are still getting used to it, and naturally, it is making the steps to get a career or steps to get a job slower than usual. So, initially, if the situations were all right, you would have a campus interview and things would run faster for you. You would get a yes or a no immediately by that day, or maybe tomorrow or day after. But now what has happened is campus interviews, first of all, are a little tricky thing to conduct right now. So people are avoiding that. And if you come across any particular opportunity, what you would realize is, yep, they take a longer time to get back to you, to arrange those interviews and so on and so forth. So the first thing you need to understand is you have the time taken to achieve something will be more than usual, number one. Number two, it is a question of having that patience with each step of the process. What to do when you are patiently waiting for a response? Now that is also equally important. My approach to the time period or the waiting period would be to, number one, use all the digital platforms as much as possible so that I can show my presence to a recruiter uh, more than anyone else. All right. In this environment, in this scenario, what I'm trying to say here is, the more you are visible, the more you are noticed, and that increases your chances of starting off your career as early as possible. So using the digital platforms like a LinkedIn, for example, could make a lot of difference to you. uh, Few months ago, one of my friends who was looking for a change in his job, what he realized that what happened was he quit his organization one day before the lockdown, and he didn't have any opportunities or offers in hand, and that became quite tricky for him because he neither has a job in hand, and whatever job he was hoping to get is going to get difficult, considering now that there is a lockdown in the entire nation in itself. So
Oh,
what we started doing together, I assisted him as much as possible, was to create his digital
presence.
presence at the highest possible levels. So we started approaching a lot of his former colleagues, started approaching a lot of his friends to add recommendations to his LinkedIn profile. We fine-tuned his profile a lot, and we made sure that his presence is not just polished but also increases in the digital platform in itself. So when we are looking at getting a career right now, we have to make sure that our digital presence is quite refined and taken care of, number one. Number two, we should also be okay to take responsibilities that we were not comfortable with while we were studying, or what maybe we thought of not doing it in our lives. Maybe something is you need to start exploring at the same time as well. But ultimately you have to be very patient in in this particular COVID-19 situation, because things are going to be slow, things are going to take time. There is nothing we can do about it, it is out of our control. My suggestion would be to use those digital platforms like a LinkedIn, like a Naukri, as much as possible. Reach
Sure.
out, network as much as possible, reach out to your network, the current existing network, and ask them if they can assist you or refer you in a job or a particular opportunity, and look at certain responsibilities which uh, which you are not equipped to handle right now. But if you are okay to start at an entry level, then you should be open to take those opportunities as well.
Right.
What I mean by that is, if I'm a facilitator, if I'm a trainer, I belong to the learning and development team of any organization. But I should be open to now move out of learning and development and take up a compensation and benefit role, which is still an HR department, but completely different from what I'm doing right now.
Right, right.
Which is fine for now. I'm telling you this, that this is a temporary change that you are creating. Because once the market is normal, once everything comes back to normal, you can go back to the role that you desired. And the recruiters at that point will also understand, okay, there was a lack of opportunity, the person had to work, set off his career. So that is the reason why they took up that responsibility. But since this person always desired to take up this particular role, uh, you are still okay to take up that opportunity and work for it. So as a temporary situation, it is okay to also uh, take a career in a different angle altogether instead of where you desire. I mean, that
Perfect.
again is a choice that you have to make, but
Right.
that is more or less what I would suggest. I hope that is.
Wonderful. So, Ashish, in the meanwhile, absolutely, that was quite elaborate. In the meanwhile, there are questions in the chat. If you
Yeah,
we have also exceeded on our time, so if you can briefly answer these questions,
yeah. So I'm
they're all
looking
there.
at those questions right now. So
Starts from Vijay.
Vijay's question: how do we avoid mistakes and keep moving forward for the better change for the current time as I'm the final year student? Okay. Um, Moving forward, Vijay will be a little slow and tricky, like I was just talking about right now. Mistakes. Well, I the way the way I look at avoiding mistakes is uh, by learning from the mistakes others have done. Now, what I mean by that is always have a senior or a person who you know who is way more experienced than you. Always have him as a mentor or a coach or an advisor, as simple as that. Even not be a mentor or a coach, but have him as an advisor, and always keep in touch and communicate with that person on what you're going to do and what are your steps going to be, because that person with his experience can always help you avoid a mistake even before you take a step, because they know what a mistake is. They might have done it in their past or they might have come across a mistake from somebody else's experience, and they will be able to guide you in the most in the right way, as well as give you the right direction to go. So when it comes to avoiding mistake, I always make sure that I talk to a person who is way more experienced than I am, so that they can tell me whether it's a mistake or not. And even before I do anything, I'm aware what has to be done and what needs to be avoided. So I guess, Vijay, I hope that
Perfect.
answers your question, Vijay.
And I will just like to add one line to it, that Vijay, on top of that, if you still are confused, then go attempt it. I mean, sometimes it's also important to make mistakes and then learn from them instead of being fearful of them all the time. So that doesn't apply to all situations. Of course, what
Absolutely.
Ashish says
Absolutely.
makes a lot of sense.
So yeah,
Great. So
Vijay.
Ashish, next is, sir, how to manage the time and how to utilize. It's a very open question, although. So
All right.
yeah,
Maybe some of you might not be. Some of you might think I might not be the right person to talk about time management, considering I have exceeded today's lesson. But when it comes to time management, my friends, answer two questions very clearly for yourself: what is important and what is urgent. Both the questions can be answered. Both the questions have only two options as an answer: yes and a no. Based on the combination of answers, you have to take a choice and treat that task accordingly. So what I'm talking about is a concept called as time management matrix. I highly recommend for all of you to just Google it out and check what it is all about. But time management ultimately is about two things. If I can share it in the fastest way possible. Uh, Two things play a role in time management. One is efficiency. The second one is effectiveness. Efficiency is output over input in a given amount of time. How much of work you could finish in a given amount of time. effectiveness is quality, which is how am I ensuring that there is a highest amount of quality achieved in a given task. So there you go. There is efficiency, there is effectiveness. Now please understand, some tasks in life demands efficiency. Khatam karo, aage badho. Some tasks in life demands or requests or needs effectiveness, which is give it time, make sure you do it best. Time management ultimately is an individual's decision on which task to be efficient and at what task to be effective. If you are being efficient for the right set of tasks, if you are being effective for the right set of tasks, your time is managed beautifully. It is not about how do I spend my 24 hours. It is also about how do I use those 24 hours. So your goals in life, the things that you need to do to set up your career are tasks that demands effectiveness. Spend time on that. There are certain things that you need to do, which is take a bath or watch a series for entertainment, watch a movie. Those are efficient tasks. Give them time, but not your entire 24 hours. So efficient and effective. You have to be very good at judging when to be efficient and effective to manage your time. I hope that answers the question of time management.
Yes, and what a wonderful point, Ashish. I mean, that was so precise. Of course, it comes through practice. That's also very important to understand. Knowing the
Absolutely.
concepts is important, but to practice and practice it right, like he said, have a mentor, have somebody who can guide you. So next is Ashish. Next is by Shreyansh. He wants to know that roughly how much time will it take to cope up from current pandemic situation and recover from this? Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Uh, I think all the political parties have already given a lot of answers around that, and I think even WHO is working on that particular question. But my understanding is coming back to normal will not take a long time once the COVID situation gets settled. What I mean by that is we are all waiting for a vaccination or a medicine that can cure us of COVID-19. The minute that medicine is administered, people are back to normal, work starts, and everything will fall back in line. Right now, how much so it all completely depends on by when are we able to achieve that vaccination. Until then, uh, we are depending on something called as herd immunity, which is if many people are immune to a disease, then naturally a person who is not immune is also safe because nobody will get that disease around him. So that's what we are aiming for right now until the vaccination arrives, which is herd immunity, in terms of making sure that as many people are away from COVID-19 as much as possible.
yeah,
Keep, and talking about this, a lot of my customers, when I interact with them, they have already given a very clear dikkat that work from home will be applicable till September. For a lot of organizations, some of the organizations are already thinking that okay, looks like the entire year is going to be work from home. So speculating when things will go back to normal is difficult. However, once we have the opportunity to go back to normal, it will not take a lot of time for things to
right,
settle.
absolutely. I think that's very true. In fact, just to add to it, so the first 2 months of a lockdown, we all were trying to figure out what to do. But as human beings, we are very adaptive. And in fact, Ashish, in our business also, we started seeing the flow of inquiries, people getting back to normal in their mindset and adapting to this. That we have to move forward. So that mindset has already started settling into people's mind, which is very positive change, which I have seen in last, I think,
At the
15
end of
days.
the we have to survive this time. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we are alive when everything goes back to normal. So that is your first priority, and make sure that you are safe and sound in these
Yeah,
difficult times.
yeah.
That should be your first priority for now. But
And
trust me, once things goes back to normal, it will not take a lot of time.
Yeah. So Ashish, there's a last question. I know we have taken a lot of your time already,
So sorry
but
about
we have no. I think our participants are still with us. So thank you guys for sticking to this. I'm sure you're finding this interactive. So Ashish, the last question is by Namrata Ratnani. She says, "What are the keys to use in business to successfully face the digital transformation as I work in an event company?"
Right. So, pretty much what we have discussed so far, Namrata, can assist you in managing change during digital transformation, even in your organization. First and foremost is, like I said right from the beginning, I've been repeating this point. You have to be very clear what is the objectives that you have planned out for your organization. What is it that you wish to achieve in this particular financial year or in 3 to 5 years down the line. Now, once that clarity always goes around with you, the next thing to know and identify is, if there is a digital transformation, how do I use it to improve my own way of working? Number one. Number two is, how a digital transformation can bring a change in the way your industry works altogether. I'll give you an example. Sometimes a change that happens in a different industry actually disrupts another industry altogether. To give you an example, a lot of airlines industry suddenly started to realize that they are losing customers. Not a lot of people are flying. Their frequent flyers are going away, and so on and so forth. They were wondering what happened. I mean, it was not just one particular airline only, but it was the entire airline industry that was going through that problem. They realized that there was a technology called as Cisco that was invented, wherein people now don't have to travel for meetings. They can always log in online and have those meetings virtually and get the job done. So uh, what was in the past was people had to travel in order to have a face-to-face meeting. Now video conferences have come, so I don't have to travel. I have to just sit there and connect through a video with my customer or anyone who I want to meet and finish the meeting right there. So sometimes a change like that happens, and that can disrupt an industry altogether. The biggest reason why we don't have Kodak anymore is because of the invention of the phone camera, and so on and so forth. Nobody nobody buys a music cassette or anything thanks to online, and that's what happens. So when we talk about the keys in to use in business, and when we talk about successfully facing digital transformation, like I said, number one, your goal has to be clear. Number two, a digital transformation, no matter how small or big it is, has to be analyzed and understood, that how is it going to affect your business, how is it going to affect uh, your way of working, how is it going to affect your goals in the future. And number three is, once you have analyzed the transformation, once you have understood what the transformation is and how it's going to affect you, is how do I bring about a change in our approach as an organization to continue to achieve our business objectives. All right. Some of the digital transformations can actually be can be beneficial for you. Some of them might not. The beneficial ones, the faster you implement them, the better it is for you, because then that gives you an advantage or a competitive edge. But the ones that might not be of advantage to you, you have to analyze them and understand them carefully and as fast as possible, because then that information will help you to ensure that you have found your way to work around and achieve your business objectives, while others are still speculating what needs to be done. So the keys to success in a digital transformation would be to identify, analyze, and last but not the least, strategize.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So Ashish, there's a last, I hope that there is a last question.
I think that's the
It
last
is
one.
by, no, I think there is one
There's a
more. It
question
just came
LinkedIn.
in.
Yeah.
It just came in by Vijay.
Hmm.
So I think so. It was by Vijay. Yeah.
It
He
is by
says, he says, what is the culture needed for the digital transformation? Interesting.
one word: inquisitive. To give an again another example, if I can share, uh, in our organization, what we have done is we have identified one team member, and we have given her the responsibility of being aware of all the technological advancements happening, not necessarily in the field of learning and development, but any kind of advancement that happens.
Mm.
Now, the reason why we have requested her to take up that responsibility, and by the way, every 15 days we come together and she presents what she has come across in articles or blogs and so on and so forth. The reason why we do that is L&D as an organization, learning and development as an industry, as a team within a HR function can get affected by technological advancements as well. And if you want to ensure that you don't become redundant, you have to make sure that you are one of the first people to find out what that digital transformation is. Last year, we came across machine learning, and machine learning was wonderful, beautiful, amazing to look at and how it functions. Uh, what we did was we used it to our advantage by creating a particular chatbot which can coach individuals within an organization. So now that machine learning, what we have done is we have given it enough inputs. It understands how to respond. It understands what response to give at to what question and so on and so forth. So it took us a while to implement it, but now it's at a testing stage for some of my customers, wherein what they can do is they can just sit down, put in their coaching question, and the chatbot will give them the answers like a coach. So you don't need a individual to sit there and give an interaction or coach them accordingly. So at least the first level of basic coaching is taken care of by the chatbot. Uh, so it was the very fact that we were inquisitive about that technology that made us create this new product. So if I'm looking at a culture of change management, if I'm looking at how as an organization, what kind of a culture should I have to bring about a change management, you have to the basic necessity would be to be inquisitive, to be
Wow.
curious, because the more you are inquisitive and curious, the more you will ensure that you have information to make yourself comfortable around that change. So I would recommend, Vijay, that if you are looking at changing the culture and making your organization and your team more adapt to change management or managing change, make sure that there is a culture of inquisitiveness and curiosity to start with. The rest can follow after that.
Wonderful. Great. On that note, Ashish, thank you very much. I think this is it. And I hope you also enjoyed the session. I think there was good amount of interaction by the participants, and
Absolutely.
everyone holding on to this much time is in itself is a testimony that they really enjoyed the session.
So thank you so much, Neha, for giving me this 1 hour. And sorry for taking 22 minutes more, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I really appreciate and thank all the participants to be part of this particular 1 hour session. And thank you for participating, being interactive, and sharing your questions as well. I hope what you have learned today was of value. I hope there are certain things that you can mull about at the after the session, and see how you can implement and create your own strategies around it. Thank you once again, friends.